Hi, and welcome to this book favorites video where me and other English teachers try to convince you to read this book for your V4, 5, or 6 book reports, or just because you need a nice book to read. We're going to tell you about our favorite books, one of which, in my case, is Narrow Road to the Deep North by Richard Flanagan. I'm going to tell you the basic information, tell you what it's about, and then tell you why this book is an absolute enrichment of your life. Okay? Now, first, for some basic information about this book, um, let's see. It was written by Richard Flanagan. Scott's he's from Australia, which is interesting. You might not have read many Australian authors before, and it was written in 2013. It was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2014, which goes to say it's pretty good. And it's 450 pages long, depending on what version you've got. But if you've got this pretty hardcover version, then it will be 450 or 451 pages of absolute literary goodness. As for the very formal knowledge of knowing how many points this is worth at school, that would be 3. So a pretty good choice in that way. Yeah, that's the basic information. Moving on, because that is quite important when deciding what book to read. What is this book about? Well, this book is about an Australian doctor who gets captured in the Second World War by by the Japanese, and is put in a prisoner of war camp. And we kind of see what leads him to join the army, and we then read what his life is like in a prisoner of war camp. It shows you the perspective of himself and the other Australian soldiers that are captured, but it also shows you the perspective that the Asian guards have, and you understand why they're doing what they're doing, and it gives you a really interesting insight into Asian culture. Um, and just the themes of war are highlighted in so many interesting ways. That's in a very short way what this book is about, without me spoiling anything. And I have already secretly been going into why is this book an absolute enrichment of your life. It is an absolute enrichment to your life, if you ask me, because this book is it's something I really like. It's about situations where we see the human extremes. So, how strong are we? And what terrible things can we do to each other? What things do you want to learn about, but would you pray and hope you never come across in your own real life? And that's what this book shows you. It shows you what happens when we go too far and what we can do to each other. And it makes you think about things like right or wrong in the context of war. And are there rights for prisoners of war? Are you a soldier? Are you not? How do you deserve to be treated? Um, how do our Western cultural values hold up in times of war, and how do those compare to Eastern cultural points? It's really intense, but it's good. The prose is not too hefty. It's interesting and beautiful, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. Neither does the entire book overstay its welcome. 450 pages might seem like a lot, but I could have enjoyed more of this book. So it's not too long, definitely. It doesn't get boring. You get to see stuff from many different points of view, so that when you're sick of one point of view, it will already have swapped to another without getting confusing, which is nice. And the characters are an interesting cast of characters that you feel for, you remember, and you learn a lot from. Yeah, this is the reason that I think Narrow Road to Deep North is a book that you could definitely enjoy reading, and I highly recommend that you read this book because it's good. It's an absolute enrichment to your life. Okay, this was me. Bye. Enjoy the book.